Got everything figured out for a change. Well done by me. Good morning. It's Thursday, so it's Thursday Thoughts. It's a Thursday Power Hour here at Soccer Down Here. So we're with you for an hour because of the high school football commitments that I traditionally have this time of year. And also keeping an eye on the Rowdy Pup, who is right there. He's under the table. With the boss out of town, Rowdy Pup hangs out at my ankles, and so he gets to be the guardian of all the gates. And that's kind of where we're at. But it's a Thursday Power Hour, and there's a lot of news this morning to kind of go through and some thoughts. And biggest thought will be about the USMNT, and it was something that happened in Soccer America. So I'll pose that as the question this morning. That is not the opening kickoff this morning, but that will be the question posed this morning. It's about the USMNT. So get your USMNT brains online this morning, and we'll go over that. There's some news in Major League Soccer. There's some news about World Cup jerseys, and we'll get into Sportico's MLS evaluations of franchises. We'll get into that as well. That's probably one of the bigger stories of the day, and some other stuff. News, notes, gossip, rumor, innuendo, what you're going to be watching later today, how you can watch it later today, and an interesting story out of The Guardian having to do with lower divisions in British football. So that's your early rundown of what's going on. Morning, Nick. Good to see you. And yes, exactly. And that is the opening kickoff. Jason, Jason Nick says the Twos final USL Championship match was fun, but not the result we wanted. Fought hard though. Yes. So that's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com right here. There's your QR code for those of you watching on Twitch. Reminder that you can follow Kickoff Coffee at Kickoff Coffee CO on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And you can get your Kickoff Coffee. And once again, when you see our friends at American Football Provisions out in public, they have it as well. We can go to kickoffcoffeeco.com, pick up your favorite Kickoff Coffee, and you use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off of your purchase. They in turn take 10% and roll it into youth initiatives. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. So yeah, last night for the last home match of the season for Atlanta United 2, it was a 1-0 loss to Indy 11. Indy 11 came in with a record of 10-15-5. And they were at the north end of the teams in the Eastern Conference that were not going to be making the playoffs. And so it was a little bit of experimentation, a lot of rotation by Mark Lowry. 7 players from their last match, and a lot of their big guns were on the bench. Ayoze was on the bench to start. Juan Tejada was on the bench to start. Stefano Pino was on the bench to start. Jared Timmer was on the bench to start. Gave him a chance to see all of his younger players. And it was a chance for Atlanta United 2 one more time at the Fraction to continue to show the development that you're seeing with Atlanta United 2 under Jack Collison. And Skoglund, Nash Skoglund, he, for 16 years old, absolute confidence. And it was fun to see him just taking charge in, between the sticks. And I thought that he did really well, once again with Vicente Reyes not back from international duty. Justin Garces a little dinged up. We'll get into that in just a bit, Ricky. But Nash Skoglund showed confidence, and he as that sweeper keeper, he really wanted the ball, and he wanted to be a part of that back line as everything was advancing forward, and you could tell. But, took command, got a couple of early touches, got into the rhythm of the game, and so it was great to see him really take charge with his first USL Championship start. And yeah, he was. I mean, but that's what that sweeper keeper position is. Nick, it's like you have no fear about what you're doing. You work your way forward, and you're a part of it, because that way you create that extra guy that you're having to try to for the defense to sit there and match up against, and it gives them something else that they have to pay attention to. Morning, Coco. And, once again, you look at what Jack Collison and Atlanta United 2 have built this year, and you can go down the line. You can look at all the young goalkeepers. You can look at guys like Noah Cobb at the back, and how Bryce Washington has, he kind of came into his own and got into the rhythm of the season after the injury kept him out for a long time. You get in a guy like Nelson Orji, who stepped right in. You got to see a guy like Highmar, who became more and more confident and got to work his way in bombing down the left-hand side, and he was integral to your offense, and he still is on pace to, if he gets another assist, he gets the record for, he gets to at least tie the record. I think if he gets one more, then he's right there for assists in Atlanta United 2 history. And then, you work your way into the midfield and the attack, and you see guys like Luke Brennan and Darwin Mateus, and when Tristan Traeger was drafted and he came in, he had a hot start and he's adjusted, and Jackson Conway with the goals that he scored, and you have guys like David Mejia, who got to have some international duty toward the end of the season, and you see how Mejia has continued to develop. Johnny Vial has continued to develop, and that's been, it's for me and for Jason, and for those of you that might have missed it, go to the end of the broadcast last night. If you were at the Fraction last night and watched and didn't get the chance to watch the broadcast, go back and watch the replay and go to the end where we got to kind of tip our hat to everyone involved with the USL Championship, everybody involved with Atlanta United, with the Twos, with the communications staff with Atlanta United, with Mateen the Dream, and everybody else, Johannes and everybody working your way back 5 years or so, and the players and the coaches and the administration and everybody at Kennesaw that made the production go the way that it did. One of the best production crews that you can have around to have that broadcast each and every single home match. But to be able to tell the stories of a lot of these players from the beginning, you look at a Miles Robinson, you look at a Caleb Wiley, and that's just two examples of how you got to see them first at the Fraction, and now you're seeing them on national stages for representing Atlanta United and representing the 17s. And so it's just been cool for us to be an incredibly small part of the whole thing. And we want to thank, and I know that Abby reached out to us last night. She DM'd me specifically. She was down in the front row last night like she always is. And for you guys to support the Twos as much as you have, and for us to be able to tell the stories of the Twos as much as we've been able to, and to see the beginnings there and continue to see them working their way onto the first team stage. It's been an absolute blast to do. And Ricky, you can always get your Action at the Fraction t-shirts by going to soccerdownhere.net, and you can get your Soccer Down Here Action at the Fraction t-shirts to have your mementos. But you look at the seasons, my guess is Noah Cobb. And Noah's got the homegrown deal that's going to kick in January. And my money, if you put juice boxes on it, I would say Noah. Noah's got the homegrown deal coming up in January, but we'll see who else is there. But you've got this long line of folks that really have shown up and done tremendous work for Atlanta United too. Very, very sad, Ricky. I mean, it's always sad when a home schedule is over. And now everything's going to be gravitating right. Cobb and Washington are both homegrowns, but to get that first team deal, I think it's Noah Cobb at this rate. But to see everything work its way through, and it's the end of a home schedule, you obviously want to chase after playoff berths and things like that. But going up against, don't know, Kefsey, legitimately don't know. Still trying to figure out what MLS Next Pro is going to look like next year for Atlanta United, and we'll see. And obviously, when we know, we'll let you guys know, and I'm sure Atlanta United will let everybody know too, know as well when it comes to Atlanta United too. But always disappointing when a home schedule comes to a close, because then that means that the schedule's kind of coming to a close in one way or another. There's the 2 matches left for Atlanta United 2. They are at Los Dos, and then they're at Phoenix Rising at Wild Horse Pass for the next 2 weekends. And so once again, you get to see what it's going to look like. I mean, you look at a guy like Alan Carlton, who, and Jason made the point last night, guarantee you that someone like an Alan Carlton was not going to be looked at as someone who was going to be showing, if at the beginning of the year, if you'd have said, okay, Alan Carlton's going to be in 10 games for Atlanta United 2 at the beginning of the season, you sit there and you go, like, what? But no, I mean, Alan Carlton continued to grow and evolve. And they've got Alan Carlton listed at 5'8", 120 in the game notes. And to see him last night make some great professional plays as well and drawing fouls, especially the late set piece to try to get the equalizer. Just to see these young athletes work their way through problem solving on the fly and get that on the job training. And you're seeing them do great things on the field. You see the imagination that's there. Johnny Fortune coming forward and getting, national team duty and getting to wear the C after Robbie Mertz went back to Pittsburgh. I mean, literally, you could go down the roster and you could sit there and say, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And it would take the entire show where we could sit there and look at the names of everybody that contributed for Atlanta United 2 and grew. And that's the cool part for me, to see the growth that's attached to it. But to answer all of your questions, Ricky, always disappointing when a home schedule comes to a close. Kefsey, don't know what's going to be going on with Atlanta United 2 next year in MLS Next Pro, the where. Don't know Kennesaw or anything like that. But obviously, when things get squared away, then we will know what the future holds for Atlanta United 2. But it was a fun ride for us in USL Championship. And like I said, I would go, if you missed it, go to the end of the broadcast, the last commercial break. We come back, and Jason did this amazing breakdown of the last 5 seasons. And I could not ask for a better broadcast partner. He is a true oracle when it comes to the sport of soccer and the sport of soccer here in Atlanta and the Southeast, a true historian and a gentleman, scholar, and friend, and all of the above. And to be able to work with your friends, it's absolutely amazing. So disappointing result to finish up the home schedule last night. Grateful, and it was great to see the academy kids there showing up and being as loud as they were. It was fantastic to see them in the red and the mint as well. So thanks across the board to everybody who has been a part of all of that stuff. And just cheer them on when they head out west for the final 2 matches of the year up against Los Dos and Phoenix Rising. So the Atlanta United 2 into the home schedule. That's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code right here, right there. There's your QR code. Once again, I'll get my fingers out of the way. So if you want to rush and scan the QR code for Kickoff Coffee, put your phone right up to it. You can. But much like Bam says, I know I need to grab the QR code here, and I need to have it kind of like elevate, like right there, But that's your opening kickoff. Once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15 from our friends at Kickoff Coffee. You get 15% off of your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in the youth game. Kickoff Coffee, CO on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Okay, news of the day. Yesterday, Sportico came out with MLS evaluations. And since we're in the Atlanta United part, we'll talk about it right now, and keep your USMNT questions working in your brain because of what happened in Soccer America yesterday with their posted piece. So Sportico came out with team valuations, and you have LAFC, who is now valuated at $900 million. $900 million for LAFC. Year-to-year valuation up 5%. Value changes up 5%. LA Galaxy is now up to number 2. They're up 1 spot to $865 million at number 2. They're up 4%. Atlanta United down 1%, and so their 2022 valuation is $855 million. Then there's a gap. Seattle ranked number 4 at $725, and they stayed at number 4. Toronto FC down 8% to $705 million US. DC United actually is up 11% in valuation, up to $700 million. NYC down 2 spots to $690 million with a 5% adjustment. Portland is down 8% to 8 at $685 million. Austin FC stays at number 9, up 10% to $630. Inter Miami is your new number 10 at $585. They're up 11%. Eastern Conference and then others of note. Charlotte's number 12 at 570 out of the blocks, $570 million valuation. Crew 14th at 560. Philadelphia 15th at 555. Cincinnati's up 2 to 16 at 550, up 10%. Chicago's down 5 to 17 at 535. Red Bull's at 18 to 525, down 4%. Nashville, I'm considering them as a part of the footprint. Nashville's $520 million, up 13%. The creation of Geodis Park, I'm sure, has a lot to do with that. Then New England's at 21. Orlando City's at 25, down 1 to 420, down 5%. And the ones at the bottom, Vancouver, or you got Orlando City at 420. Vancouver at 415, down 8%. Colorado stays at $400 million at 27th, and then CF Montreal's down 2 spots to $390 million, down 3%. So that's what you're looking at for your evaluations. Yeah, Coco, curious how they figure the evaluations for the group clubs, NYC and Emilio. We talked about the twos and how sad it is that it's the end of the home schedule. But right now we're in Sportico's valuations of Major League Soccer franchises. We'll talk about USMNT for the question of the day coming up in the final half hour. So give me about another 8 minutes, and I will pose my USMNT question of the day, courtesy of our friends at Soccer America, an article that they had yesterday. But right now, valuations of Major League Soccer franchises are on the board with the article from Sportico yesterday. And Sportico broke it down into a couple of different things. And so, Coco, you're looking at NYC, Red Bulls. All right, so let's go. And what they did at Sportico is they gave it a couple of different things. It was revenue. They looked at it with total value and revenue was how they were looking at it. So total value for Red Bulls and for NYC. NYC, once again, they, in revenue, had projected revenue of $100 million, tied for 12th. And that was where their total value is. So they are 7th overall for NYCFC. Red Bulls are middle of the pack, if not lower. They're tied for 16th in revenue, total value, and all that stuff. So going over once again, NYC and Red Bulls, since that was the one that was posed to the floor. NYC and Red Bulls, Coco. So Red Bulls are 18th at $525 million, down 4%. NYCFC down 2 to 7th at $690 million. So, and that's down 5%. Revenue for the teams that we're talking about. Atlanta United, by the way, number 1 in projected revenue at $100 million. They were tied for 3rd last year at $71 million, and then tied for 3rd in 2020 with $31 million. So Atlanta United right now is first in the league in projected revenue, according to our friends at Sportico. So revenue for NYC, they are 12th in revenue on the whole, and Red Bulls are 16th in revenue. So right now, those multi-owned clubs in middle of the pack, 12th and 16th when it comes to revenue in and of itself. And so that's what you were looking at for NYC. If we click on there, so projected revenue for NYC at $55 million. Probably a lot of that, it would be a lot more if they had their own building, and that's up $10 million. So basically up 20% year to year. 2020 revenue, $17 million. They were tied for 11th. So tied for 12th in projected revenue at $55 million. And they were down 1 spot, even though they were up in revenue. And then Red Bulls, when it comes to their revenue, tied for 16th in projected revenue at $50 million. I think that if they would embrace their New Jerseyness, I think that they would probably get more folks in the building. 2021 revenue was also 16th, and so revenue for them was up 25%, $40 million to $50 million year to year, and they stayed at 16th. And then you have, you've got the monopolies in Colorado and things like that. But right now, that's more curious how they figured valuation, since those two specifically can move money as they please to manipulate numbers, right? And that's probably what falls between the cracks, is when it comes to figuring out valuations. When you have these when you have these companies that are as vertically integrated as, say, Red Bulls and NYC are, you can sit there and say, okay, we slide something here, slide something this way, slide something this way, and that's how it looks. I think you can pretty much, in line with everyone else in Major League Soccer, I think that, Coco, I think you're right on, is that you can sit there and say, well, we're worth this because of all of these elements. NYC, they don't have their own building. Like I said, I think they would be worth more if they had their own building. But I think that you're looking at player transfers, you're looking at the valuation of all of your assets and all that kind of stuff. And, if some of those assets just happen to be commingled with the Red Bulls hierarchy and pyramid and City Football Group's hierarchy and pyramid, yeah, definitely getting a bump by CFG, no doubt about it. So yeah, I think that a lot of it has to do with look at your stadium situation, look at your assets, look at your transactions, look at the revenue that's brought in, look at the size of the building that you're playing in, and MLS team valuations are down here, but it's like 1%. So it's like a 1% decrease in valuation. But right now, but they're also number one in revenue when you're looking at Atlanta United. So, CF Montreal, they're in their own little pocket, in their own little bubble there in Quebec. So, not necessarily a surprise that they're last. You have Colorado Rapids. They have their own building, but they really don't do a whole lot of investment per se compared to everybody else. I think that Altitude is more than happy. CF Montreal was last, and they were down 2 spots to just under $400 million in their evaluation. So CF Montreal was last. Colorado was next to last at $400 million. And Colorado pretty much stayed constant right there at the $400 million figure. But now that you have my interest peaked, Nix, let's see. Yeah, Colorado at $400 million, up 8%. CF Montreal, $390 million, down 3%. So, all right. So let's go to the end of the line. CF Montreal, we look at their revenue, and once again, you're talking about the Canadian dollar, and you're talking about Montreal, and you're talking about a building that is not 30,000. Right now, projected revenue for CF Montreal, $29 million, 28th in the league. And they were $19 million last year at 27th in the league. And then they were 26th at $11 million in the COVID year of 2020. So projected revenue in that building, $29 million. But once again, remember, the Saputo family owns the building. So they can pretty much sit there and work the valuations to help out with the environment there however they wish. But it's a small market. It's the Canadian dollar. And you're looking at a couple of different aspects that were attached to it. It's not, the idea of being able to have 71,000 folks in there, but you could move down the street and do something like that at the Big O and have that work for your assets. But yeah, your last two, Colorado, and I don't think that Stan Kroenke really cares. Projected revenue for Colorado Rapids, $33 million, only up 6 over 27, 23% year to year. And its revenue's up over 20% year to year, but they're not keeping up with everybody else. So Colorado is 26th in revenue at $33 million. So that's why those does Stade Saputo still get the historical site bump, or is it time for a renovation? That's the thing. When you're looking at CF Montreal, are you saying, Nix, are you saying that they should blow up Stade Saputo? If Joey Saputo could find the real estate to expand it, and I think that if I remember correctly, and Jarrett would probably be the better person to discuss, Stade Saputo is in a very, very finite space. Okay. Thank you, Nix. It's in a very finite space, and I could go to the satellite pictures, and that's probably what I'm going to do now. Stade Saputo. So all right. So now I'm looking up Stade Saputo and seeing where it is and trying to get a satellite map because I want to see what this looks like. and I want to see where it is. So I guess I got to go to Google Maps, right? Got to go to Google Maps and try and see Stade Saputo. Yeah, Stade Saputo, Google. So let's go Maps. All right, Stade Saputo Stadium. Okay, it's in a park district near the Insectarium in Montreal. All right, so layers. Let's go to the. Yeah, it's pinned in. So legitimately, since it is in that same area as the Olympic Stadium and the Planetarium and the National Institute of Sport, very little room to expand. It looks like you could toward the street, or you could toward your own soccer complex. You could expand maybe a little bit. So you would have to build up and out because of the streets that surround it and the buildings that surround the Stade Saputo. So I don't know if it's got enough room to, there is a lot. There is a lot, and well, yeah, and then if you blew up the Big O, all right, so. Yeah, I mean the Big O in and of itself, as much as it is a boondoggle, I don't know. Yeah, not especially compared to other soccer-specific stadiums in the league. Stade Saputo, you're kind of pinned in, and that's the other element in all of this. The capacity for Stade Saputo is 19,619. 19,619 is your Stade Saputo capacity. Honestly, that needs to be up to 25 if you're comfortable with where the league is going. I just don't know if there's the space to expand Stade Saputo because it's pinned in that one corner, and you can sit there and average attendance. Let's look at average attendance. Let's get into that too. MLS attendance figures. MLS attendance, 2022 MLS attendance, according to our friends at Soccer Stadium Digest. And I'm going all the way down to the bottom, and they're not the worst. All right, so CF Montreal's attendance so far, 15,673. That's their average in their 16 home matches. The 16 home matches, they are 25th out of 28. So they average 15,673, and that is, obviously way up from 2021, but they're not the worst in the league. Inter Miami at DRVP and K is your worst at 12,210. Colorado next to last at 14,3. San Jose 15,232. CF Montreal is 15,673. And they're right there in that 23 range. They could get. They could get it to 22, 23, 24. So they're just under 16,000 a game. But it is 25th in a league of, I know, Miami. But, once again, you're looking at, you're looking at Summers in Fort Lauderdale and not wanting to go. Because there have been some times where it has been empty in the end zones at DRVP and K-Nix. It has been, Miami's dead last. All right, capacity on San Jose Stadium. So let's see, PayPal Park. Let's go there and find out what the capacity is in San Jose. PayPal Park, capacity of approximately 18,000. So, capacity of 18,000 at San Jose. And and I think that Nick's, you're probably spot on. And I know, Coco, if they're not filling 19,000, then I know that you wonder about it. But I think that that's the question for any stadium who might want to expand. If you're happy where you are capacity-wise, would you rather have 100% of 19.3, or would you rather have 75% of 25? That's the question, because of all the operations and all that kind of stuff. Would you rather have the idea of going to 25,000 and having only 20, or would you rather sell out 19.9? Evening, Bam. Glad that you're catching up, and great for Geelong. Fantastic first quarter for them in the blowout of the Sydney Swans. Caught a lot of that and was just shocked that Geelong put the numbers up they did in the first quarter. And a great moment afterwards where they brought in their ball boy. I thought that was very, very cool with Geelong winning the grand final. Okay, so, yeah, and I would think, Nix, that if you come closer to civilization in Miami when the new stadium is built, that you probably will get that bump for capacity and folks coming in to watch. That's just me. Okay, so Amelia, what do Red Bull and NYC average? Let's see what they average. Red Bull averaged 19th at 16,476, and NYCFC only 2 spots above them at 17,393. So that's what you're looking at there. NYC is 17th. Red Bulls are 19th. And also remember, though, those capacities are tickets sold. Not butts in seats, but tickets sold. So, yeah, you could look like you have only 10,000, Emilio, but if you sell the number of tickets and season tickets that you do, that's the number that's going to get reported. So, 17th and 19th, regardless of the number of folks, I think that NYC's is probably a closer metric to the actual number than it would be anything else. So, yeah, Red Bulls definitely do not look like they have the number that was posted in average attendance. NYC does. Coco, let's see. Coco, maybe this is just me, but I'd rather average 75% of 25,000, and you've got room to grow for bigger games, Canadian Cup, etc. I'm right there with you. That's what. And besides, I would think that if someone like Joey Saputo would want to have friendlies with the other teams that are a part of the Saputo family framework, you could probably fill 25,000 with that, and instead of having to go to the Big O, pay rent. The city would love to have it because then they would know that the building's getting used. But yeah, the Big O is an absolute boondoggle. Story time with John. Went to the last season for Montreal Expos, and somewhere buried in my stacks, I have tickets from the last home game from Montreal Expos. Bought a lot of outfield seats because they were like $5 a piece, and so I have a lot of those outfield tickets from that final home game for the Montreal Expos. Yeah, still amazing valuation numbers for these teams. For Charlotte to have already jumped in that much from a $400 million buy-in is impressive, but that shows you, Nick, that shows you, I think, where Major League Soccer is when it comes to the growth of the sport here in the country. And we've all known this, that if you were looking to invest and if you were looking to have an investment these days, that instead of if you're looking for growth investment, and we've all known this, that if you're looking for growth investment, it's soccer franchises. And I would love to know, I mean, the valuations for teams in USL Championship are considered. If you want to buy in the USL Championship now, it's 8 figures. It's 8 figures to the left of the decimal to buy in USL Championship. And it's probably mid-7 figures if you want to do something in League One. And what we've done, I agree. Oh, goodness, I agree about Austin. We'll get at Austin in just a sec next. I think that you look at where things have grown and you see where stadia are not just stadia anymore. And Lexington is trying to build their own. Lexington's trying to build their own multi-use complex. Same with Chattanooga. Same with Statesboro. We're going to have Darren Van Tassel on tomorrow morning at 10 to talk about a very special weekend down in Statesboro. But it's all about the multi-use facility now. It's not just about the stadium and what's around it. So you have that kind of level of investment in the second and third division here in the United States. And so for me, growth industry is investing in soccer franchises, hands down. Bam, I think you're right. I think that if you're building a new stadium, I think it's got to be 30,000. And that way you can attract all of the other elements that are attached to it. So Austin. Okay, Nick's Austin. I want to get into them for a second since we've been talking about them. I was fortunate enough to go to the first event there. It was the women's national team friendly against Nigeria. Place was packed, 22,000, no worries. it's too small. Austin has consistently sold out everything there at Q2. It is too small. But the problem is, with that building, there's only one section where you can build up and expand. They've pinned themselves into a corner with the construction of this building. If you're watching a match of Austin FC on television, we'll look at it from the perspective of press box looking down. The sidelines in front of you and at the bottom of the screen and the top of the screen, there's no room to build up and out. There is no room because on the side that's the press box side, you have other commercial development. Basically, you have an access road. The stadium ends, you have an access road, then you have other commercial development. Then on the opposite sideline, yeah, no doubt it is. Coco, you're right on. It is poor planning. Then on the opposite side as you're watching on television, top of your screen, same thing. There really isn't a whole lot of room to build out because of other developments that are there, apartments, condos, that kind of stuff. Once again, it's the wraparound walkway, ticket booths, gate, and other development. Then, once again, if you're looking from the press box on your TV camera to the right, that end zone where the supporter section is, you've got parking deck. You got parking lot, sorry. You could build out over that parking lot maybe and take out parking spaces, but then what do you do for that? Because that's your highfalutin folks when it comes to their parking for what they've paid for. The only one that has the natural build out is, once again, looking from the press box, it's to your left, that short section that's not the supporter section. The one that's opposite the supporter section, the one to your left, that's got build out. There's a bit of a meadow there and some grass and things like that. You could build up and out there. So really, if it's anywhere, it's on those end zones. To your left as you're watching on television, absolutely. To your right, you're taking out parking spaces. Top of the screen, bottom of the screen, doesn't happen. It's not happening that way. So I think that, Austin, you're right. It is. I thought it was poor planning. That was one of the first things that I commented, and the lines are horrendous for trying to get anything involving any kind of concessions, team store, all that stuff. The lines are out of control. I don't know if you want to say that there's not enough concessions or there's not enough people dealing with concessions, but the traffic pattern is just horrendous. You're on top of each other because you've got folks who want to get concessions. You got folks that want to get to their seats. You're all crammed into each other at Q2. So Q2, I think, is too small. I think that they either, it gets into our discussion. Do you want 100% of 22,000 or do you want, 80% of 30? And if it was me, I would have wanted 30,000 so I could get 30,000 in there. But Q2 is too small. It's too small for Austin FC, considering what they've done and what they've shown Major League Soccer in their 2 seasons. So yeah, Q2 for me, very, very small. Austin, it'd be interesting to see if they could get away with 40. Frankly, Coco, settle for 30 and then maybe go play at Darrell Royal if Darrell Royal's long enough and if you just pay the rent. But for a big mega match or something like that, get it to 30 and then go from there. But yeah, it's going to have to be this way. It can't be that way. It's going to have to be in the end zones. Yeah, Coco, we'll talk to Darren about it tomorrow, about Statesboro and Ian and the irony of having a hurricane named after your head coach. It's a joke that they've made this week. So, yeah, we'll talk to Darren about it, but still, it's a fantastic moment for South Georgia Tormenta as they unveil their new stadium. I think it's sold out a week and a half ago. I think they had like 140 tickets available. I'm guessing that those are gone. But then remember, if you missed out on October 1st, October 15th is their regular season home finale. That will be in Statesboro as well over at Tormenta Stadium. So just looking forward to seeing this next stage in the growth of South Georgia Tormenta. We'll get to talk to Darren Van Tassel tomorrow at 10 about it. Remember, tomorrow, normal show because Jared is coming home from the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. And so it'll be you and me doing Weekend Whip Around, patent pending trademark coming 9:05. Then our friends from Beyond Goals at 9:30, Darren Van Tassel at 10. So it's a stacked show as we get you ready for the weekend tomorrow here at SDH. 30 to 35 seems about right. Bam, not a fan of Atlanta playing him. The Bens find the atmosphere on TVs very dull. Personal opinion. Give Austin a couple of bad years, see how full that stadium gets, but that can be said for any MLS team. True, Bam. But to Coco's point, Bam, yeah, when the Benz is full throat and bumping, you can feel the energy through the television. When it's not a great crowd, not into it, yeah, it can feel that way. So it is, to Nick's point, great place to see a match when that atmosphere is there. Like the tail end of the match last time out, when Atlanta needed that push and got the push. That kind of energy is just, it's unmistakable, and literally you can feel the vibrations in the building. So yeah, and we're all, if there's a way we can cover the Women's World Cup, cool. We go ahead and do that. It looks like we're not going to be getting to a whole lot of the stuff that I wanted to get to this morning, which is cool because we can continue to carry that over. Let's see. So because of what happened in the midweek with Cincinnati and Seattle, Mike Conti went through the scenario. So here's what we have to look out for the remainder of the regular season. I'm going to leave Cincinnati and Orlando out of the discussion. So let's just chase after the 7 spot. Miami, 3 points or less in their last 3 matches. Columbus, 4 points or less in their last 3 matches. Miami's at Toronto, always a tough one. Orlando, blood feud. Decision date, Montreal. 3 tough matches for Miami. Columbus is at Red Bulls. That's a tough one. And Charlotte will be motivated to finish as high as possible. And then decision day for Columbus is Orlando. Charlotte, and they've Charlotte, which finishes with Philadelphia, Columbus, and at Red Bulls, must also not win out. So that's the mission for Atlanta. That's the short version. So Miami, 3 points or less in their last 3 matches. Columbus, 4 points or less in their last 3 matches as they chase after the 6 and the 7. So that's your notes on Atlanta. Okay, so before we go, and I may bring this back up again tomorrow just because, here are the questions that I had that I was going to bring forward, and it's from our friends at Soccer America, having to do with the USMNT, and I wanted to bring that to the floor. Yeah, Atlanta can still get the 5th. They've got to win out and get some help. So, focus on what's in front of you. Take care of you first, and then look at everybody else. Soccer America, 5 tickets to Qatar, 5 USMNT toss-ups. So who is odd man out in goal? Matt Turner, Zach Steffen. Steffen's probably your number 1, even though Matt Turner showed himself to be your number 1. So then that means if Steffen doesn't go, Sean Johnson, Ethan Horvath both go. So what's the situation in goal? That's your question going forward. My number 1 is Matt Turner. I know that 3GB's is probably Zach Steffen. Vines or Scally is your 5th outside back. I think that you look at what we saw from Joe Scally coming off the bench as a 19-year-old. You need a backup for Anthony Robinson. Is it Sam Vines? Or is it Serginho Dest who played on the left? That's where I would lean. So selection would give USA 4 players at right back. Dest, who can go both ways. Reggie Cannon, but we don't know his injury status. DeAndre Yedlin, who is going in Joe Scally. Their third question, Tillman or Roldan in midfield? I think that we know that that's going to be Roldan if he can go, just because of the comfort level of comfort. I was about to say comfortability, but the level of comfort that Greg Berhalter has with Roldan as much as Malik Tillman. I don't think Malik Tillman got enough minutes. And if you wanted to see what he was worth, you needed to give him more time. Arriola or Morris is the 5th winger. If Pulisic, Weah, Aronson, and Reyna are all healthy, likely room for Arriola or Jordan Morris, not both. So who's your 5th winger, Arriola or Morris? P-Fox, too good to pass over. And this was the discussion that we got in with Dylan Butler. You're looking at Jordan P-Fox, and it was phrased very, very well by Paul Kennedy at Soccer America. Paul said that the biggest winner was P-Fox by his absence. Ferreira and Sargent played against Japan. Pepe and Ferreira took turns up front against Saudi Arabia, and you didn't get any production. So is it a winner by default with Jordan P-Fox? So those are the 5 questions that Soccer America had when it comes to the USMNT. Coco Reyna apparently going to be out 7 to 10 days. Dude just keeps getting hurt. Yeah. Odds are about the same as a meteor hitting a unicorn, however. Should be Tillman, but it will be Roldan. That's what I figured with Coco. And didn't see enough from Tillman this window with Malik Tillman. So we'll think about that one, and we may put that one back in the hopper as we go when it comes to World Cup stuff. A couple of notes out of Major League Soccer. Bebe Reynoso signs a new deal with Minnesota. He'll be around for another 3 seasons. Shea Salinas announces his retirement after 16 seasons in Major League Soccer. So Shea Salinas, say that 10 times fast, is going to retire at the end of this year. Did you guys see the Denmark jersey that was released yesterday? I thought, I thought that was very, very cool. Well thought out by the Danes with their jersey, with the sublimated logo, not wanting to make themselves. The way that they presented it is that they did not want to, present themselves and be out front about who they were in Qatar because of all of the issues that are currently going on in Qatar. So I thought that was a very cool story, and I may end up getting one of those Denmark jerseys just to show my support for what they were doing over there in Qatar. So very, very cool stuff from our friends in Denmark. Okay, let's get into today and get into viewing habits, everything else, soccer on TV, odds and action, and all of that stuff before we go. Thursday, a lot of college soccer today. ACC's got college women at 8. B1G's got college women doubleheader at 6 and 8. FS1 has Big East action with Providence and Butler at 7. College women, Arkansas and ATM. And what I mean by that is Texas A&M, but it says ATM right there in the helmet with Texas A&M. Arkansas, Texas A&M at 7. B1G Plus has action, and they've got to access to 6 other matches in the conference. ESPN has college women's action starting at 4, and they've got a lot of action starting at 4 o'clock. Flow FC has 4 matches for college women. Paramount Plus has the Argentine Primera at 2:30 with Barracas Central and Gimnasia La Plata. We'll get in the juice boxes there for that. If you want to catch up with all the action on TIC, which I would recommend as well, go to Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here, and get your early discount for being signed up for Fanatis. You can keep up with everything going on in the South American game and the Central American game. You could be in, you could Gold TV, all that kind of stuff. Very, very cool. Jason got me hooked, so I blame him. ftz.co/soccer down here for Fanatis. YouTube through DAZN, women's Champions League, 1 game already in the second half. Roma and Sparta Prague, and Bayern Munich and Real Sociedad is at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So that's your viewing habits for the day. And thank you. Yes, it goes on sale in you guys are talking tickets for the Women's World Cup. Got it. And definitely, Nix, I liked what Iran did as well, wearing the black warm-up jackets over their kits in allegiance with the women. I thought that was very, very cool as well. All 6, okay, so BAM is turning into our ticket agent for the Women's World Cup. All 6 Women's World Cup games in Melbourne, an adult ticket, 140 Australian dollars, going on sale. Locals only price, so we'll see. And it sounds like Nix is already planning to pair up with BAM for the Women's World Cup, as you should. Very, very cool. So if you go, you can be our intrepid correspondent. 6 games, 4 group games, and 2 round of 16. Gossip, rumor, innuendo, and things left unsaid before we head into other matches that are going on today. Chelsea joined the race to sign Jude Bellingham. Price set to be £130 million. So it's Chelsea, Liverpool, Real Madrid. That's from our friends at the Telegraph. PSG forward Lionel Messi. We should just say Messi at this point. Messi could return to Barca, according to Vice President Eduard Romenu, who told Spanish radio station El Mati de Catalunya Radio that a move for the Argentina striker could be viable. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Manchester City planning talks with Bernardo Silva to find out if he'll try to move again at the end of the season. The 28-year-old expressed a desire to leave for the past 2 summers. Arsenal still interested in signing Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa to replace Thomas Partey. Mikel Arteta failed to bring in Luiz in the summer, set to make a 3rd bid for the Brazil midfielder, having 2 rejected on transfer deadline day. Barcelona interested in Ilkay Gundogan with only 1 year left on his deal, so keep an eye on that. That's from our friends at Sport. Bayern sporting director Hassan Salihamidzic has defended 30-year-old Senegal striker Sadio Mane, who's failed to score in 5 games for the German champs. That came across from our friends at Bild. Everton forward Anthony Gordon, heavily linked to Chelsea during the summer. the 21-year-old U21 international, says he was never desperate to leave Goodison Park. That's from Metro. Wolves have reportedly signed Chile midfielder Dario Osorio from Universidad de Chile for a £5.5 million fee. Real Madrid, Manchester City, previously linked to the 18-year-old. Tottenham have targeted Atletico Madrid keeper Jan Oblak as a longtime replacement for Hugo Lloris. That's from the Evening Standard. PSG President Nasser Al-Khelaifi says Barcelona's asset sales in the summer to fund signings were not fair and suggested UEFA should investigate their legality. Be careful what you wish for, sir. That's courtesy of our friends at the Four Letter. Tottenham set to sign Dejan Kulusevski on a permanent when his loan from Juve expires. That's from our friend Fabrizio Romano. Atletico Madrid also considering a move for David De Gea with his contract coming to an end at the end of the year. That's from our friends at 90 Minutes. Everton have told Venezuela striker Solomon Rondon free to find a new club in January after failing to secure a move this month to Turkey. Portugal right back Diogo Dalot, hopeful of receiving a new contract offer from Manchester United, Barca, Juve, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, and Roma, who are all monitoring his form. Chelsea could re-sign Tammy Abraham from Roma via a £67 million buyback clause. Christian Pulisic no longer wants to leave Chelsea after being linked to various clubs, including Manchester United. The appointment of Graham Potter means the 24-year-old striker thinks he has a chance to establish himself, according to our friends at the Evening Standard. Chelsea also want to sign Slovakia defender Milan Skriniar from Inter. 27-year-old's contract set to expire at the end of the season. And we've talked about in the past where American ownership in the Premier League is at close to 50%. Looks like the takeover of Bournemouth by Bill Foley, close to completion, could be finalized within the next 7 days. And, of course, that's courtesy of our friends at the Four Letter newspaper. So take that for what it's worth at the moment. Right now it's looking at a £150 million price tag set to take charge in 5 weeks, provided he passes the ownership test. And this is the beauty of pop-up windows with the Four Letter newspaper, is that you can't really talk about what you want to talk about until an ad pops up. So I apologize for that. That's one thing. It's been so long since I've gone to the Four Letter newspaper for anything that I forgot about that. So expectation, the paperwork related to the sale completed within the next 7 days, goes to the owners and directors test for Bill Foley. And it looks like, once again, the pop-up window is killing me. So we're not going to go through that story anymore because of the pop-up window. All right. So, all right, Sydney Football Stadium. You guys are, Knicks and Bam are having conversations, are having work done about their own Women's World Cup travel plans. Yeah, Grant Kual will be a bargain for Newcastle United. That was 18-year-old Kual. We talked about him yesterday, Bam, from Central Coast, and that looks like anything that's in the neighborhood of 10 figures to the left of the decimal or less, that's a good pickup. So it looks like it is a good piece of business for Newcastle grabbing the 18-year-old from Central Coast. And then, so let's see if there's anything else on the board. Don't think there is. So let's get into the juice boxes and get you ready for that today when it comes to the rest of your viewing. And we've also got a promo that we have to read before we're off the air today. And once again, remember, tomorrow, 9:05, we're back with normal time because it's just me and you. Weekend Whip Around Patent Pending Trademark coming, 9:30, Beyond Goals, 10 o'clock, Darren Van Tassel. Hanging out with us to break down everything that's going on with Tormenta to get to that particular point where they're supposed to this weekend. They're going to unveil Tormenta Stadium to the public. And they had a big practice, I think, last night with a couple of the squads there on the turf at Tormenta Stadium. So very, very cool stuff that is going on down there in Statesboro. We'll catch up with Darren Van Tassel about it on the air tomorrow. Right now, you got Women's Champions League going on. Roma, big favorite against Sparta Prague. They're leading 3-1, so no surprise there. Lower divisions going on in South America. You've got a lot of cup competition going on in Eastern Europe here in the morning. Bayern Munich, big favorite at 1 o'clock over Real Sociedad on the women's side in the Champions League. Still, you've got lower divisions, Women's Super League going on at 1:30 in England. Everton a minus 244 as Leicester comes to visit. Cup action continuing. Baraka Central Gimnasia, we talked about that one at 2:30. So Baraka Central is a plus 167. Your draw is a plus 206. Gimnasia is a plus 179. Lower divisions in Mexico carry us into the evening. Light schedule, Liga de Expansión at 6 o'clock. Primera División in Costa Rica, Liga Expansión at 8. Costa Rica, Sporting San Jose and San Carlos is at 9:15. Liga de Expansión is at 10:05. So 6:05, 8:05, 10:05 Liga de Expansión if you can find it and you want to watch. So it's a very, very light day in the evening, but it looks like it's a lot of college soccer today. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Yeah, you guys are having your stadium conversation. That's very, very cool. Let's see. Since it is 10 o'clock, I guess it's time for me to read a promo. So let me find the music and make sure that it's not at 50% when it hits the first notes. So that way it doesn't blow me out. There we go. We've adjusted it appropriately, and it's time to read this. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go. It's Eliminized Service. Eliminized Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Eliminized Service has created a customized solution that eliminates all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminized Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, which we like. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our other favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or in the cabinet or in the cupboard above it. Because when you reach into the cabinet or the cupboard above, take that masking agent, spray it in the air. That's why they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odor. You are not attacking the issue all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminize do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways, either cubic foot or parts per million, and come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. It's Eliminized Service. You have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one thing that you need to do is go to the website. And I think I've shaded the notification here on the billboard in a decent manner. So it's Eliminized.com. Let me grab my pen. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com, but go after the .com, go /Atlanta. So it's Eliminized.com /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are asking them for their help. Eliminized.com /Atlanta. Eliminized Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. There were a couple of other stories that I saw before we go. So that way, let me hit pause on that, because tomorrow, if I don't hit pause, it will continue to run for 23 and a half hours or 24 hours. And you'll hear the same music pick up from the same point that I literally just lowered it down from, and that'll come back tomorrow. So hopefully I've done it correctly. One of the other things that I noticed yesterday was out of the lower divisions in England. I can't quite do it the way that Jason does. So lower divisions in England. And let me see if I can find the story. Okay. It's an exclusive by our friends, by Rob Davies at The Guardian. And English football clubs have been taking a cut of the money fans lose with the bookmaker Sky Bet. And The Guardian, Rob Davies put this out yesterday, prompting accusations that they're exploiting supporters and gambling addicts. An internal document shows that members of the Football League, Championship, League One, League Two, comprising 72 clubs outside the Premier League, operated as affiliates for Sky Bet. An affiliate is a middleman who encourages, and this is from the Davies copy, affiliate is a middleman who encourages a gambler to bet with a particular company, which then pays them a percentage of the money that the person goes on to lose, sometimes for the rest of their life. The document states clubs were entitled to, quote, a share of losses from accounts registered in your club name to Sky Bet through our affiliate partnership, end quote. The EFL said the arrangement, which lasted 6 years, was scrapped at the start of the 2019-20 season, but admitted some clubs were still receiving funds under the legacy contracts and would still continue cashing in until the end of the 23-24 season. The Guardian understands that one League Two club made £5,000 from the deal in a year, indicating potentially much larger sums for the better supported championship teams. Campaigners and members of parliament condemned the relationship, called on Premier League clubs to reveal whether they have any similar deals, and said the revelation should give fresh impetus to government plans to reform gambling laws. Sources have suggested a draft white paper outlining potential reforms put together under Boris Johnson leadership could fall victim to a bonfire of regulations under new Prime Minister Liz Truss. But the shadow minister for sport, Alex Davies-Jones, said the plan should not be scrapped, warning that the evidence of affiliate deals, quote, raises some serious questions about the government's approach to gambling. So there you go. Interesting stuff from the lower divisions in England. So I thought that was really cool, just to understand that this was perhaps happening, and that you have lower division clubs who are, getting kickbacks, basically part of an affiliate program. Basically, everybody who invests, somebody invests in who's your favorite club, and you sit there and you put your favorite club in. And so as a part of the affiliate program, if the guy loses but invests through Sky Bet because he's named your club, then that way you get a part of the results. Sky Bet has sponsored the EFL for 10 seasons. Sources in the gambling world would have previously alleged clubs have affiliate deals with bookmakers, but this is thought to be the first time that hard evidence of such an arrangement has come to light. So Premier League teams now need to come clean about whether they too have affiliate deals. Guardian's written previously to every Premier League club, some in the Championship, Scottish Premiership. Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Spurs, Manchester United said they did not. The remaining clubs declined to comment or did not respond. The document seen by The Guardian appears to be an account of commercial revenues made by Accrington Stanley through EFL Digital, a division of the EFL. So wild stuff there with affiliate agreements and what we're looking at from The Guardian, lower divisions in England. One other story before we go, and I'll see if I can find it, and this would be the requested/required reading for the day if you have a subscription for The Athletic. And it is another exclusive. Adam Crafton, who does tremendous work with The Athletic, has a story up. FIFA is accused of ignoring Ukraine and urged to scrap Russian TV deals. It's an article from Crafton. So Sergei Palkin, who's had multiple conversations with Adam Crafton, whether it's about the national team or about the league play that is going on itself, has had a lot of discussions going on with all of the trying to juggle multiple things during wartime. So Sergei Palkin, chief executive of Shakhtar Donetsk, has accused FIFA of betraying his country's war effort by maintaining lucrative TV deals with Russian broadcasters, and has called for the Russian Football Union to have its membership of Football World's governing body revoked. I'm sure that if you asked a lot of folks who are fans of soccer, they'd probably be in Palkin's camp with all this stuff. In February of this year, Crafton writes this: Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an invasion of neighboring Ukraine. As a part of the response that sought to limit the involvement of Russia in global sport, FIFA barred Russia from competing in any remaining qualifying matches for the 22 World Cup. This, however, followed an initial attempt by FIFA to allow Russia to continue competing in World Cup qualifying if they changed their name and played matches on neutral ground. Fierce resistance from a number of European football associations, who included Poland, FIFA scaled up their response, banning Russia from the World Cup. FIFA also announced a $1 million humanitarian donation. In the ensuing months, FIFA has faced mounting criticism from Ukrainian football due to a perceived lack of attention and resources being directed toward the war-torn country. The initial piece that Adam Crafton wrote, you'll remember, revealed that Shakhtar Donetsk is seeking €50 million in damages from FIFA because of papers that were filed talking about transfers and unilaterally suspending contracts and all that. So Palkin tells The Athletic this week that Shakhtar have since sought, with the assistance of UEFA, to contact FIFA President Gianni Infantino in order to avoid a court date, negotiate a solution. Yet Palkin said there's been no response. He says FIFA did not want to communicate, did not want to sit together. Instead, he says Shakhtar received indirect messages to say FIFA are ready to go to court. FIFA has yet to respond to the claim, and now Palkin has launched a broader attack on FIFA's response, dating back to the Russian annexation of Crimea, incursion in eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk back in 2014. And remember the stadium Donbass that Shakhtar played in a beautiful facility. Haven't been able to play in it because of the war at all. And it's just been sitting there and getting bombed. International condemnation goes through all of this stuff. So right now, it looks like Sergei Palkin is chasing after FIFA and the TV contracts. The Russian broadcasters are paying FIFA for World Cup and all their other programming. So Sergei Palkin, critical that the RFA, despite their eventual ban from the World Cup, has retained membership in FIFA. Means that Russia is able to organize friendlies like this week's game against Kyrgyzstan and a controversial proposed friendly against Iran before the World Cup in November. So that would be that's the requested reading for the day, is the Adam Crafton piece where he catches up with Sergei Palkin, and Sergei Palkin is accusing FIFA of ignoring Ukraine. And it wouldn't necessarily be a surprise to know that is in fact the case. But let me check my list. Okay, I think that is everything from the morning. Once again, thanks for hanging out for a power hour. And BAM lets us know that most of the Australian Football League teams used to own pubs that had slots in them, would get all the profits from them. And the Hawthorne Hawks 4 years ago collected $24 million in slots revenue, the most of any club. So, we've seen clubs integrate with that kind of stuff before. But that'll do it for the Power Hour, more like a Power Hour Plus. Thanks for putting up with me on a Power Hour day. And remember, countdown to kickoff, GPB Sports Facebook Live. That is at noon Eastern. We'll go for a half an hour. Hannah Gooden and myself will preview tonight's action. And there's a lot of tonight. And there's not as much tomorrow because everything has slid. Calhoun and Cartersville. For those of you that want to watch a little high school football, it's on the web and on all of the social media platforms for GPB. It's on the app as well, gpb.org/sports. It's a doubleheader on the web. Calhoun at Cartersville and Blessed Trinity at Roswell. Both of those games are at gpb.org. And we'll rebroadcast Calhoun and Cartersville in Recruiting 2022 tomorrow night at 7 and just treat it like a normal Friday, except the game's already been played. And we'll keep you going through your Thursday. So thanks for hanging out with me on a Thursday Power Hour. And may you all be safe. May everyone that you know, if someone is in the path of Ian, let them be safe as well. And may everyone just come out of this on the other side. We know that a lot of folks are going to be hurting, especially a lot of folks in Central and South Florida. Just look at what's going on in Fort Myers and Estero and Tampa. It has been absolutely nasty. And we just want everybody to come out safely and then help them out however they may need from there. So thanks for putting up with the Power Hour and all the different topics that we had today. We will do it again tomorrow, 9:05 normal time, stacked show. We will have a lot of fun to get you ready for the next to last week, the penultimate week in Major League Soccer, with Atlanta United heading to New England to take on the Revolution. So for all of you that get to hang out with me on a daily basis, can't thank you enough for being a part of SDH and the SDH family every single day. Mucha platial, and since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this.